Okay, I think we are live on YouTube. Let's go check the YouTube feed, which I think is live.
Yes.
Yep, there we are. And there's a little bit of a delay, which is fine.
Okay, I think we are live on YouTube.
And we'll see if some of the people arrive in the chat room. So one of the things that I was bringing up in the meantime was these NFTs. So tonight in graphic visualization, we're going to talk about NFTs, and NFTs are blowing up right now. NFTs are non-fungible tokens, and for non-fungible tokens, they're essentially graphic designers and 3D artists and people amongst those skill sets right now, and musicians are creating small animated GIFs or images, and they are putting them onto these websites, which are then selling their artwork. And there was an artwork by this artist named Beeple. Pull it up. And let me go check here. We have some people entering. This artist by Beeple, and I'm not seeing any people in the chat room yet. Live chat are visible. I'm going to chat to you in here. So, hi, Lily. I guess we should present by saying this is the first time we've ever done live streaming, and we believe this is the first time, definitely in Berkeley City College history, of live streaming. Peralta, one of the largest colleges in San Francisco, and we think amongst all city colleges, it's the first time ever. So if there's any other faculty member that thinks that they were before us, you could tweet us or message us, and we could have a tweet war with other city college faculty members by saying we are the first. Does that sound like a good idea? And then, as we said before, our philosophy is since we're the first, we don't have to be the best. So that's what we like about it, right? I guess I'll speak for myself. I think Liliana has a different philosophy. So,
yours.
All right. So it looks like some people are entering the room. That's awesome. Welcome. We have a whole bunch more people coming. And so while they're coming in, Liliana and I are going to just talk about another topic before we jump into the web design talk today. And the other topic that we're going to talk about is NFTs, non-fungible tokens. And so there's this artist named Beeple who just sold one of his works for $6.6 million. And that's a lot of money, right? So let me share this here of this page talking about it, which for some reason the picture's not showing up. This is the piece right here that he sold for $6.6 million. Now it's an animated piece, and I actually downloaded the animated piece right here, and I can play it for you guys. Here, I'll share this. Here's the animated piece from Beeple that sold for $6.6 million, right? It's really nice. I mean, he's very talented. I don't know if he's $6.6 million talented, but he's very, very talented, right? And then it just loops over and over again, I imagine. At least it does on the website. So you can make it loop over and over as well. So are you surprised, Liliana, that this sold for $6.6 million? Do you have questions?
No, but it does look like a little bit.
And then it just loops over and over.
Hold on one second.
Right? And then it just loops over and over again, I imagine.
I have to turn off the live stream audio.
It sold for $6.6 million.
Still going. Let's see how.
1 second.
Huh.
I have to turn off the live stream.
I think it's good now. I think there's a delay. Okay, so
Sold for $6.6 million. Still going.
oh, this is awesome. This is called recursion.
Yeah.
Huh. I have to turn off the live stream.
I think it's good. Okay, so
Sold for $6.6 million. Still going.
oh, this is awesome. This is called recursion.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fix it. Oh, I think, is it because it's going on your side too? Are you, is it on your side too of the sound recursive sound, or just on my side?
No, I'm hearing it from yours. Mine is muted.
Okay, so I even closed my channel now.
I don't know how to fix it. Oh.
You want me to close
I
mine?
must have it open somewhere
It's
else.
going on your side too? Is it on your side too?
This is awesome.
Recursive sound, or just on my side?
No, I'm hearing it from yours. Mine is muted.
Okay, so I even closed my channel now.
You want me to close
I
mine?
must have it open somewhere else.
This is awesome. Okay, so
This is awesome.
so Liliana, all my browser windows are closed. Oh, except this one. Got it. Found it. Yes. Okay, so all right. So that was recursion. So recursion is essentially a sound. In this case, it was coming with sound. It also can come with visuals, actually. And recursion, something worth learning about. Let me open up my browser again, but without a new YouTube thread. And it's weird. I could watch myself now. Like the stream is actually a couple seconds delayed. So that's good. That's, I guess, you got a couple seconds to fix. You could just shut down the whole thing. If something's going wrong, Liliana, you could just shut down the whole thing. So recursion is something inside itself. And so I think one of the better examples of that are Russian dolls. And so and what I mean by that is if these old school toys, these are Russian dolls, and you put one doll inside another doll inside another doll, and then when you open up the first one, then there's all these other dolls. So and if we think of that in our kind of CSS or class type structure, like when we're making our CSS3 designs and stuff like that, it's creating a class within a class, and then you could create another class within that class, and so on and so forth. And we'll see examples of that today actually as well. And so that's what's happening with the sound. It's looping within itself and then inside another one. And that's where you start getting this wacky repetition of sound over and over again. And that's kind of where you get it also with video too, where you'll see the screen get smaller and smaller, smaller, or like when you look in multiple mirrors, you'll see repeated mirrors. So we could look that up too. I love recursive mirrors. I don't know about you guys. Recursive mirrors. So something like this, I'll share this. So I'm sharing. Well, that was probably recursive too, actually. All right, so if I share this here, here's like a picture of a mirror within a mirror, and you could see that he's the photographer is sitting right there, but he's taking a picture. And so when he's taking that picture, there's a mirror behind him and a mirror in front of him. And so when the guy walks in front of that, you see the guy go all the way down, and you could just get some really, really cool visuals by doing recursion. Like these are examples of recursion. So that's what was taking place with audio when we were just doing it. All right, let's go back to NFTs. So we were talking about NFTs and this artist named Beeple. And so Beeple just sold his artwork for 6.6 million. And so, and then I just showed you the artwork on my own personal computer, right? And so you probably have some questions. What are your questions about that? It's a digital artwork sold for 6.6 million, and I have one on my computer. Is mine worth 6.6 million then?
No. No.
No. Well, of course, the person who bought it for 6.6 million is a speculator, right? So we could even say ourselves, well, I don't know if that's worth 6.6 million, but you could say that about any art piece, right? You could say, I don't think the value of that art piece is the same as you're making it out to be, right? So I guess they say what the beauty lies within the beholder of that, right? Or the price. But so it's using the Ethereum blockchain. Ethereum is a cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is getting very popular right now. And Ethereum is the #2 cryptocurrency blockchain. Ethereum is currently really powerful because a lot of people, because it has faster transaction times than Bitcoin to do stuff. And it's got a better framework to build applications on. So a lot of people built applications called dApps on Ethereum blockchain. And so what they do is essentially the main attribute of a blockchain is that it gives a timestamp and it gives a transaction detail for every transaction that you make. And so these NFTs now have a transaction detail and a timestamp for what they're doing. So that person that bought the Beeple owns the original Beeple. While other people might have other Beeples, this person owns the original one. I do think that in the coming years, we're going to see this area mature, and it might be associated in a similar way as ASCAP does with music, where when a radio station plays a song of an artist, they pay a fraction of a cent. Or when you listen to an artist on Spotify, they pay a fraction of a cent or whatever it is to an artist. This is a way, if they figure it out, this is a way for if you had a music player, every time you played that original Beeple, that the person who owns the Beeple might get a fraction of a cent because they own that Beeple. Or the original artist, if they didn't sell the Beeple, might get a fraction of a cent or something like that. That seems to be one of the ways that it's going. Currently, it's just like speculation, and they're like, there's this thing called CryptoKitties. Have you ever heard of CryptoKitties? CryptoKitties were kind of the first really popular craze with these, and they just create a bunch of different cute animated cats right here, and you purchase these unique animated cats on the blockchain. And I guess you could create like special breeds of the cats and stuff like that too.
That's pretty good. I haven't seen it just before. It's nice.
What do you think of this this new genre as an artist? So Liliana created the first Starbucks cups, which I think is important to tell people. Now, she was working for a company, so she was just paid a salary while she created those Starbucks cups. But I'm sure she would love to go back in time and then make those Starbucks cups now NFTs because of how popular Starbucks cups are. And who knows, maybe you could have got a lot of money for making those Starbucks cups. Maybe you should do a new series of cups.
A new series, yeah, a world series. Well, that was a lot of work, but I think like this new concept is pretty cool because it will give more revenue to the artist, and so yeah, I think there's great opportunity. I'm happy they're finding new ways.
Yeah, I agree. That's the first reaction is, it feels like revenue for artists has been like dead, especially during COVID, right? Like at probably its lowest point ever. And we know there's tons and tons of artists out there. So this is awesome that this is now an opportunity for artists to maybe even take their own career in their own hands and find a way to monetize it that becomes maybe mainstream, right? For that kind of stuff. Maybe you, yeah. So let me see here. We have some people who are trying to find our stream, so I'm trying to connect with them. But this is cool, right? This is our first stream, and so people get to see kind of how this will be an NFT in its own. Maybe we could sell this video
Okay.
later on. The first intro to web live stream.
Yeah.
Because I guess we're still waiting for a bunch of people to enter the room. Looks like we have 29 watching now, so I think we're good. If you're in the room, if you could maybe message in the chat of the YouTube chat that everything is going well, and then we will start with the intro to web design content. So that's kind of interesting. Somebody talked about Dodgecoin, and with Dodgecoin, they said it's kind of like Dodgecoin. I was listening to the founder of Litecoin talk yesterday on YouTube. Just anybody can watch these type of things if you want to dig in and research them. And so Dodgecoin is off of the Litecoin blockchain. So it's, I guess, using the Litecoin blockchain. And his name is Charles Lee. And he was saying that Dodgecoin is kind of like, the way that he was proposing Dodgecoin is that it's kind of like an introductory, it's like a gateway cryptocurrency. It's very cheap to purchase. It's like 5 cents or something like that. And it gives you the opportunity to just kind of purchase it, purchase the cryptocurrency, maybe give it back and sell it, and those type of things to learn how cryptocurrency works, so that you could kind of get used to it before you move on to other cryptocurrencies and stuff like that for younger people and stuff like that. So that's what, but it looks like Dodgecoin, the NFTs, because Dodgecoin is definitely the cutest of all cryptocurrencies, right? So I agree with you on that, Jaime. Let's see, still waiting on Z to chat with us. And I guess if any of the people that are in our intro to web design class are in the room, if you guys could message us in the chat to let us know that you guys found us. And then we will start. Do you have any other stuff? So this is the hard part about being live, Liliana. We have to fill content.
Oh,
Do you have stuff to fill content while we figure this out?
No, about this one. This is the first time I said this. Like that is interesting to see how like the photo stock can evolve. Like it feels that way. So I'm looking actually at the chat and the live stream. David Gonzalez. Is this not the mobile and cross-platform design?
Yeah, no, I keep saying intro to web design mainly because it's really early in the morning and my brain isn't functioning properly yet. But yes, this is mobile and cross-platform. This is advanced web design. Yeah. So I'll try to update the name of this video later.
Jaime Mendoza, I believe it started as a meme, but people started to take it really serious because of Elon Musk.
Yeah.
About it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, the title does say intro to web. I wish I could tell you I knew how to change the title, but I don't. Let's see if this does it. Mobile.
And Carlo has a very interesting question. It's about so like purchasing a publishing rights, and he's saying that he's confused about it.
About purchasing the publishing rights?
I guess you have the crypto. Like.
I'm not seeing that chat yet. About purchasing publishing rights?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think that has been worked out yet with NFTs as far as I can see. I think that's where the maturation process is going to come from. Currently, it's really you're just buying the originals of these things. And I think some NFTs will not want to give you publishing rights. But I think if you own it, you're able to use it however you want. I think a lot of people are saying that NFTs are like currently they're flex for people who are, you know, maybe cryptocurrency millionaires or billionaires, and they're flex for wealthy people to put as like their profile image. Like, this is my profile image of the people, and I'm the person that owns the original. Like, that's what they're currently saying. So you can use it for your own stuff. But as far as publishing rights, I think that gets tricky because there's also something called NBA Topshop. So CryptoKitties, this company, was extremely successful, and they created their own chain, essentially, their own side chain to Ethereum. I believe they call it a side chain. And so, and here, I could give you the name of that chain. The name of that chain is Flow, the Flow chain. So, so then they have now partnered, or people, other areas, from seeing how successful they are, they're using the same platform. So NBA Topshop are trading cards, or NBA trading cards, that they're now making short little videos of NBA basketball players that people can purchase. And I think some of those have also went for a lot of money. And supposedly there's a very high demand because it's a very popular area, trading cards. And so they don't want to give you the publishing rights, I'm pretty sure, of their cards. Like NBA Topshop, that's what they do. They are publishers. So I'm pretty sure they're saying, you just own this card. You don't own anything more than that card. Now, other artists might be willing to create other types of deals. So it's very early, and it moves so fast. Like every day there's something else popping up. As a matter of fact, Jack Dorsey, who owns the Cash App, which is from, what is his payment thing? Do you know which one I'm talking about? I'll find it really fast. So it's Square. So Square just purchased Tidal, and Tidal was like a music platform similar to like Spotify that Jay-Z started. And so Square just purchased Tidal as part of, and Square was just like a payment mechanism similar to like a PayPal or something like that. Jack Dorsey is very heavy on cryptocurrency. And so I'm assuming that Tidal is going to start to integrate some of these things and maybe create a more mature platform for music and artists and stuff like that. So that'll be interesting with the support and backing of Jay-Z, actually. So,
Cool.
yeah. So, I think we're just going to get started here. I have not heard back from that group, but
Yeah, actually, Jaime Mendoza, he's from Intro to Web that starts at 12:15. So I'm not sure if if
we have 32 people watching. So it's
Oh.
either if you're new. Oh, okay, everybody's watching. Okay, great. All right, so let's jump into class. Fantastic. Unfortunately, I closed out all the stuff that I had prepared because of the recursive thing. So let's start talking about what we're going to be discussing today. So we're discussing today Bootstrap. And so Bootstrap is a framework for building websites. And it's when it got started, it was on GitHub, and it essentially was, and I think it still might be, I'm not sure, but it was the #1 downloaded thing on GitHub. I do believe it also helped GitHub rise to prominence as well. Well, if you're the #1 thing to download, I imagine that you would help it rise to prominence, right? Bootstrap was created by Twitter originally in-house, and then they just gave it to the public. And they said, this is something that the public could use. It's not something that we're planning on monetizing, and we're just going to give it out free. And I believe some of the people from within Twitter left Twitter to kind of take over this project of Bootstrap. And so what Bootstrap is and why they built Bootstrap was to help the developer team and the front end team create a cohesive design so that all the icons, all the buttons are all the same across the platform. Because when you become a really big company like Twitter did, you could have thousands, tens of thousands of developers, and they might start choosing different shades of red or different shades of blue and things like that. So they created this framework, this guide essentially, in order to synthesize that process. Do you have any things that you'd like to add on that, Liliana?
But actually, like other companies create their own frameworks as well. But this definitely will save you a lot of time as a prototyping tool. If you're gonna have something done really fast, once you understand how these classes help you to build something fast, you can build things like amazing. They look super clean and fast.
Totally. And then once you know how it works, you could even use the pre-built frameworks, because you understand what the code is, and you essentially could copy and paste designs, and they're done in seconds, actually, right? So it's a really powerful tool. Now, we will be giving you a step-by-step tutorial. We'll actually put it in the detail of this that shows you how to use and make and build a Bootstrap page. We took that from W3 Schools. So we essentially followed the W3 Schools guide on Bootstrap, which is amazing. And why reinvent the wheel? And so if I share my screen here, this is the Bootstrap tutorial from W3 Schools. And then we just go through the process and we build it step by step. So you see how that's built. And so to show you Bootstrap a little bit, what they have are, if you look at the docs, this tells you essentially how to install Bootstrap. So you're going to install Bootstrap. It's essentially an external CSS document that's already been built for you. That's what it is. Very similar to 960 Grid, as we've used in the past with in the Intro to Web Design class, where we used a grid system built by 960 Grid, and then it helped us build stuff. This is actually the evolution of 960 Grid. 960 Grid was the bee's knees before, and then Bootstrap came along and they're like, whoa, this is amazing. As a matter of fact, now there's a lot of other competitors out there as well of Bootstrap that we could talk about. I'll talk about afterwards, that you could look at that function in the exact same way as Bootstrap, but have different aesthetic designs or different features and things like that that you would maybe want to consider for your project, or that you might fall in love with instead of Bootstrap. And so for that, what you do is you put this link here in your CSS where you would usually put your CSS page towards the CSS project that you're creating. Instead, you're going to use this link that connects to their CSS document. Why don't we show you what that document would look like? So I'm going to open up another tab here. And if you go to themes, they give you a whole bunch of themes. I think some of these themes you have to pay for though. So they do give you, yeah, so they're like $50 here, $50. By the way, sometimes it might be worth it to pay for themes, but we don't think it's worth it in class to pay for themes. If you go to examples here, these are free examples that they give you. And there's some nice ones. This one's nice. This carousel one is a pretty traditional one. This blog one is nice. Let's look at, and then this cover page one's nice. I guess, which is just one big cover page. And then you go to features, it looks like, which is not working.
Oh, and the code is probably have the number, the number symbol, so it's not jumping.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Spark, the link Spark in.
Yeah, they're using the pound sign instead of writing in the whole domain name where it's going to go, right? Let's check out the album one, see if that one works. This one's cool too, right? This is nice. I'm trying to think of what people might want to use for like their portfolio. This could be a really great portfolio page, but if you don't have a lot of stuff to show, that's why I was looking at this other one. The cover, if you just have a few different things on there, is kind of the way that we like to recommend people build a portfolio. Just keep it simple and then kind of go down the line. So let's check out this one here. This one's good for a portfolio actually, because then you could just choose a few different things you want to show, whether it be maybe a mobile phone design, a couple different web examples you have, like your CSS transitions that you might have made last week and stuff like that. And then at the top, you could kind of put some heading title types things that could be generic in purpose too. It could be, designer, coder, eco advocate or something like that. And then they create a gallery. The tricky part about these, which I don't know why they do this, but essentially to see the code on here, you have to right click on it and view the page source. And that's actually where the tutorial is on these, or where the content is. They don't give you a button, download the content. You essentially have to right click. At least they never used to. Do they currently do that now? Probably not.
No.
Yeah, they still don't. So that's actually how you have to get the code. It's like, we're giving it to you free, but you have to copy the source code here. And to copy the source code, you would just do a Command A if you're on a Mac, or Control A, and you just copy that into Sublime Text or Visual Studio or anything along those lines. Then if you go in here, you can go to, and you'll see this link, and this is the carousel document, and this is the Bootstrap document right here, which is bootstrap.min.css. And when you click on that, this is the entire document. This is actually not minified though. It should be all one line, correct? Or is minified now like this?
No, I think this is.
I mean, it is minified, but usually isn't it just a single line that goes all the way across? Because if you're minifying something, you want absolutely no spaces, and so like there's a space here.
Yeah, but I think like actually something that's going to be very important to look into these files is on the top. This is the version. Like this one is version 5 beta 2. So if you're working with the Bootstrap 4, then you might have some issues. You guys can see right there. So pay attention to the versions that you're working and the template, what the template needs, because that might be a jump and you will have issues later.
Yeah, totally. That's a great point, because I didn't even know they have version 5 yet. So that must be really new. And that could get a little tricky, because with the different versions, there are changes. So I remember in the past when it transitioned from version 3 to version 4, people were having all sorts of difficulty with version 4 because they were using version 3, so the materials they were getting. So that's a great point.
The big difference with the 3 to when it jumped to 4, it was the 3 has had a lot of icons that we could use. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
And then we lost them when we moved to 4, but
Yeah.
they has other things, so you get some things and lose another ones. I think mine is still with the version 3, like I have a site that's old, and it still works. But if you want the site to last longer, I would recommend that you add the original files to your site instead of linking directly to the web, because that way you keep the consistency in all the files. That's what I did with mine. That's why it still works.
Okay, we're going to ask to see yours in a few minutes, actually, since you brought it up. It's a great example one. I mean, it's actually maybe a little bit too complex for some people to get started with, but it's a great example one. Yeah, here they have the icons that you were referring to. It looks like they went back to them. Yeah, they got rid of them in 4, and then it looks like they came back. And they used to call them a different name too. They were called, I'm forgetting the name, Glyphicons. They were called Glyphicons before. And I think one of the reasons that they stopped kind of competing in this space, but now are back clearly, is that there's something called Font Awesome that got extremely popular, and I don't think they were able to keep up with them for a while. So I think this is also another icon library. All right, we're probably going too far ahead, actually. So let's once again, the tutorial that we're going to give you goes step by step. This is more of an overview discussion. So we'll give you the tutorial. We're trying to get you excited about it and give you kind of an overview. And then hopefully when you watch the tutorial, it's more step by step and going in a manner that's useful. Let's check the chat. Does anybody have any questions about what we're talking about in the chat? Just feel free to ask in the chat, and we'll go and check over time. So
I can see, no, I don't see any new comments in the YouTube channel.
Okay, cool. So nonetheless, there are a bunch of different, what we see here, favicons, right? Maybe that's, well, favicons are actually in the top. The favicon is the thing that they're putting in the top up here, this little B at the top. The favicon goes in the tab. So that's what a favicon is. And that's where they're putting these favicons for theirs. That's a different story. We could talk about that another time, or at the end, if you want us to talk about favicons.
Yeah.
The key one here is this link here. Now this is tricky because the link that they're giving you is a relative link and not an absolute link to the Bootstrap document. So you want to make sure that you don't use this one, because we don't have access to what server that's on. They're not letting us know. That's actually local on their own server. Although my guess is it's actually at the getbootstrap.com. If you actually type the full address, it would probably be getbootstrap.com/docs. And that'll actually get you to where their CSS pages. Actually, right here, this will be, yeah. So you could just copy that if you wanted to, but rather they give you this link, and this link you'll see at the beginning says CDN, and they call that a content delivery network. The content delivery network is essentially a server that's set up specifically for this file to help perpetuate all the people that are using it and helping with load time, I imagine, and really creating the most efficient and fastest load time. I've never really looked into how to set up a proper CDN, but that's what they are. They're repositories that you put stuff to that you are pulling content from. That could be a CSS file, that could be image files, it could be all sorts of different stuff. And what you're doing is you're building your website in parallel with multiple different servers. So in the past, we were using like cPanel, and we put our website on there. That would be like using one hosting service at this point. And then by putting this, we're also using the Bootstrap hosting service to house our CSS file. The advantages of that is their server is likely optimized and really, really fast. And the likelihood is that that server is not going to go down because, you know, it's well thought out and it's done by some of the best people in web design. So that would be our guess, right? The disadvantage is you don't actually hold that file yourself. So if they do go to that CDN and they update it to version 5, that could actually cause problems on your own website. So that might be something to consider too. So in that case, what you could do is you could just download, let's go back to that example that we have. You could just copy all this code, Command A or Control A, save it on your Sublime Text or your Visual Studio file, and then just download it locally on your own computer, put it up on the server, and now you have this exact file yourself. And then you could do a relative or absolute link from your own server instead of the CDN. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I think that could be a really good like way to do it, especially if you're gonna try to bring the template to your local machine to start working on it. So yeah, that's the way that I would do it.
And if people are wondering why we keep asking, because Liliana is the pros pro who works at Indeed, does this day in, day out, solving all the world's problems on the web. So we're going to our expert for that. So the other cool thing is Bootstrap uses JavaScript, but we don't know any JavaScript, right? Well, that's okay. It incorporates it in a way that's really easy to use, and we just have to know CSS to do that. But in order to get Bootstrap working, we do also have to include JavaScript. And that's here, this script link here that we'll have to include. And then these links here as well. Oftentimes we include JavaScript at the very bottom of the page because what we want is the page, the visual stuff on the page that might not be clickable yet to load as fast as possible. So you immediately see the visual of the page, and then the stuff that's clickable loads later because we know the user is going to take a second or two to look at the visual before they make a decision to click on something. So hopefully by the time they go to click on something or interact with the page, it loads the JavaScript later. So while websites work really fast and computers work really fast, they don't work that fast. So sometimes they load a little slower. So just to, it's a little hack that people do to include the CSS at the top, but then to include the JavaScript at the bottom of the page. And if we look at their example of this page here, of their index page, we will see the JavaScript at the bottom, or yeah, we see the script at the bottom here that they're including. Okay.
Before the body close tab, the tag at the bottom, the body, what is closed, just right after, right before the tag is closing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, unfortunately didn't have the screen far enough up for me to see, but yeah, you can see here, this is a closing of the HTML and you want to have it on the inside of the body before it closes. So that's what we want to do for that. But it's outside of the main area of that opens up this container for all of our stuff. And so you could see here's the head of the document. We could see the head closes. We could see the body of the document starts here. They have a header area here. And you could see there's navs inside of that. And then divs inside of navs. That's the recursion that we're talking about. And then you could see the main starts here and the main ends all the way at the bottom down here. And then that's where you put your script for that. So once again, we go over that step by step in the other tutorial by building it out. Okay, so let's check out some other things that make Bootstrap super cool. Other things are, when we go to docs, I guess, is now what they have it. They used to have it be components in the past. So if the tutorial, it says components, then it's the docs area. And the cool thing is they build out all this stuff for you, and their designers are amazing. So let's jump into the cool part first. And you could see stuff like this where you can start doing like accordion tabs like this. And they just give you the code for those accordion tabs. So you can copy and paste that code into your page and boom, you have an accordion tab. And because we're so savvy now, we know that we can just go in and we could change the text here of what we want it to say after we copy it and we paste it onto our HTML document. So instead of saying this is the first item's accordion body, and you'll see it says right here, this is a first item's accordion body, we could type in, you know, this is my website dedicated to saving the turtles in Guatemala, right? And you could put that in there. And then for accordion 1, we would change that and we would say saving turtles in Guatemala, right? If that's what we want it to be about.
Yeah.
Do you want to jump in on this?
Yeah. Well, sorry. I just wanted to go back to the other page. At the bottom.
The source code?
Yeah. What is the introduction? No, the introduction. Sorry. And the Bootstrap introduction.
Okay.
You have it on the far. So at the bottom, they also offer already a starter template. At the bottom, that one. So that can save, that can save you a lot of time. It's already giving you the links where you need to have them, and you can start. There are the instructions with comments, so you know where you can start adding stuff.
Yeah. Do you want to maybe pull up XD and then just copy and paste it over? I'll talk about some of the components, and we could show how quickly you'll have it set up based off of that, right? It'll just say hello world on it, but it'll give an idea of what it is.
Sure.
That'd be amazing. So some of the other components that we could use while Liliana is putting that together are like, these are examples of different headers. So they set up different heading titles like this. And then here's different buttons. Now this is a part where we really see what Twitter was thinking, right? I think. Well, first of all, they want all accordions to look the same on Twitter. So that's why they created this. So if you're making an accordion, let's say you're working for Twitter. At this point, we're not working for Twitter. Let's make that totally clear. But let's say we were, or we're working for Indeed. Indeed has their own framework too. So if you are working at Indeed and you want to make an accordion, you have to use the accordion that's part of the framework. And that creates a uniformity to the entire website of Indeed, because you don't want different types of accordions and stuff like that, right? So there's a team that builds these frameworks. So if you're working for a client, you might say, you know, you're a pretty big company. You're going to be bringing on a lot of other developers. I'm going to build a framework for you. And so that way, any other developers that come on board, they can now use your framework that I'm building for you. That's actually kind of cool too, because you'll probably get a lot more time on the project for that too. So it'll elongate the project at the end of the day as well. You could see here, I think this is where it really comes into focus. Like, let's say I wanted to create an alert button. These were the names that they had provided for it, which was primary, secondary, success, danger, warning, info, light, and dark. I don't necessarily agree with all the names they did, but that's the names they gave. That was their choice. So those are what we want to use. If we want to use these, you can always make custom stuff later on, but we're not learning that today. If I want to make a blue button, it's called primary right here. And we just use their button class, and then it'll create that button that we're trying to use, right? It'll create that primary button. And then secondary will be the gray button, success will be the green button, and so on. And so those will recreate them. And then you could also go down and they should have, here's button tags. These are outline buttons. So if you wanted to create outline buttons, these are those. And then these are the different size buttons. So if you want to create different sizes, you just put an SM at the end of your button to make the small, LG to make it large. And I believe that this is showing a whole bunch of different versions of them actually. And they're not actually putting in the classes here, which is a little confusing because they're different size. These buttons here that they have starting out are just based on the amount of text that you write in them. So they're expanding or contracting based on the amount of text. So that's the size proportions of these. But if you go over here and you choose large button, that size is going to be set. So no matter what you put inside, it should stay the same size, which I would recommend rather than having them expand and contract. Because one of the key things that we learned about intro to web design and general web design is you want to create consistency of your objects on your page. And if you have some small and some large on the same thing, unless you're trying to create some unique look for some specific purpose, in general, you want to try to keep the same size buttons and things like that to create uniformity. And so here's a whole bunch of different buttons and stuff like that. So, and it just goes on and on. Like there's stuff that we don't even know how to create that they just give you. Like here's a carousel to create a slideshow, and boom, they give it to you. You don't have to know JavaScript, and it just works. It's amazing. And then you can just put in your images and link your images to it. And now you have a slideshow on your page. Amazing, right? Collapse buttons, the interactivity is already there and stuff like that. So the cool thing is it builds that framework, and then you could just go in between the lines on that. Are you ready to show your stuff?
Oh yeah. Well, I just
Okay, I'll stop sharing. Let me give you access to share. I have to, okay, go ahead.
Okay, cool. This one. So, okay, so I have it here. The only thing I did was I created a new folder, and I literally copy from here. Just copy and paste it. I'll do it again. And as a reminder, this tool that is the the Visual Studio Code. If you right click, you can open and live stream what you have, so you will be able to see the changes live, how you're doing it, how you're adding things. And let's move some of the things the professor was showing us right now. Maybe could be a button, right? Let me see, optimize layout. Oh, maybe I should.
Components, it's under components.
It's under component, okay. Cool, let's the only thing that you need to do is copy the button. Let's do a dark one and paste it where, sorry, this thing, and we have it here, and it's right there.
Yeah. Awesome.
And it's that simple, and you can start adding things. In this case, if we want to do this one smaller, because it's all the way to the side, let's give them a little, I think it was a classes container, right?
Yep. I think it's a dash though. But,
oh
yeah, okay.
A little bit, yeah, it worked. So just look at it, all these classes, you'll find them here. It's just, the trick is just we start adding classes, play with it, and see how it looks. You can easily change the color. Like in this case, if I like better info, I just replace the class and change it here. And my button is going to change to be to the other style. And a little thing that we saw in Intro to Web, it was to override these classes, because that's something that we probably want to do, and you're probably going to see in the template. You need to add your styles below the original Bootstrap CSS. So I would say I would add something like here, like my styles, just to have them, just to have them separate. And then here I will add the style, open and closing tag, and then there I will start like changing either by class or in a second class here. That's a little like tip that we should not forget when we are working with the CSS. This is something that's called specificity. So it's kind of hard to say for me, like, because English is my second language. So if you look at this page, this is going to be a good reminder of how to override things. And for Bootstrap, you will need to do this. So you need to have your style below the Bootstrap style to start overriding things. Right now it's broken. I did something broke here. Let me see. Yeah, it's back. Like if I want to change this one, Let's try this one. So it would be, well, first to pick the class, maybe we should start there. I don't know, I'm doing something. With inspector, we can see again all the classes here. So this will give us a reference of what we need to change. And we can see here that it would be the button inside a button that has a class that is a button info. So and then here we can see again the class. So we can try to see if this is the one that's changed the colors and start seeing what is dominating this thing. So what I would do is just copy this one, paste it here, and this might work or work sometimes. Sometimes it has more specificity. Sorry, that's a hard word to say. But if we change this, the background color to be red, and it's possible to change it, and then you can see there how you're changing. Sorry, I'm still in there. How you're changing these colors. This is important because if you want to start like customizing the template, you need to know how to do this, and it will be very frustrating to remember the specificity of the styles. I don't know if you want to add something, Justin.
I think that's amazing. I think that's amazing. I am going to send you. I'm going to send you this button class. I was just thinking maybe adding a link inside that button class to show people how it would link somewhere else. I could send you some of that code too.
So right now it's just linking into the home page, and actually, where is it? Button file. We save the name. Did you send that?
Yeah, I sent it in the chat here to create it into a link. Let's see, or an example. And by the way, why don't you take a second to figure that out? By the way, like, first of all, what Liliana is doing is extremely hard. If you actually asked me to do it, I wouldn't have been able to just do that. It's just because she's coding every day and doing stuff. It's really hard to just do it live by me saying, hey, why don't you just try to plan it, right? I don't think that's exactly correct, by the way, the link that I gave you. So, but let me share some stuff and maybe figure out how to get that going. That'd be amazing. But the advantage of using something like Bootstrap is, once again, it's not rote memory. You're not memorizing all these different classes like old school computer science or something along those lines would have you do. Rather, the resource that you're going to find what you're looking to do. And by going to that resource, you leverage that resource in order to start building your project. So as long as you know where you need to go to get it and you could trust that resource, then you can accomplish what you're trying to do. I think that's a pretty good primer, by the way. Our step-by-step tutorial is much slower paced. It's a better kind of scaling thing in general. And we're just going to guide you to that. And we're going to still just talk about high level stuff. Does that sound good, Liliana?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So I actually would like to talk about other frameworks and just the advantage of a framework in general, why this is useful, right? So other frameworks are Foundation is another framework, which is very similar to Bootstrap. It's kind of, I think it was created by Zurb. Yeah, Zurb Foundation right here. And some people love Foundation versus Bootstrap, but it's kind of just a tomato type of thing. They're very similar. It's whichever you prefer. And they have tutorials here. They have courses on here, which I've never known before. That's kind of cool. And here's their docs sites. I guess they're pushing you to GitHub now to get all their stuff. So I personally don't use Foundation. I know a lot of people do, and they love it. So you could check that out as another alternative. And then there's material.io or material design. This was made by Google, right? Now this is used a lot. And then there's material.ui, which is used with React, which is a little bit different, uses TypeScript. But then the components here, you could actually get the components that you would see on your Android phone. So that's super cool, right? And probably worth checking out, because anything you create will look like a Android. And so that'll give even more credibility to what you're making, because one of the things that we've learned over time is that people prefer to see designs that they are familiar with. And when they see those familiar type of designs, they feel they give you more credibility, because it's something that they think that's what the professionals do. And I think Bootstrap is like that as well. They see a really well-made Bootstrap site, and they recognize that it looks like other Bootstrap sites, which I think Bootstrap is the #1 framework for websites on the web. So if you're doing it with Bootstrap, you're doing something that's going to look familiar to other people, and they're then going to think, wow, you created all this on your own. They're going to think you created the accordion all by yourself and stuff like that. So, and then Material UI or Material IO is going to do a similar thing with Google. And then another one which is popular is CSS Grid. Let me pull that one up as well. And so CSS Grid, for a short while there, was the coolest kid on the block, but I think Bootstrap integrated some of their stuff, and mainly because their layout model, their grid layout model. And that's actually what we're using this for at its core content, like at the foundation of why we're using it, is because they're advanced grids. Beyond 960 grid, they have their own type of grid that are really easy to use and really powerful for responsive design. The 960 grid didn't allow us to build responsive websites. The Bootstrap grid does allow you to build a website for your desktop, for your tablet, and for your iPhone. So that's really powerful. The thing was, with the Bootstrap, for a really long time, and I actually have to check, I'm guessing Bootstrap 5 is now doing this. But up till Bootstrap 4, they weren't doing this, where the grid was only horizontal. So the verticality was as much content that was there would push down that grid. And then it would just, you would choose your spaces as a horizontal layer. So if I go back to Bootstrap and I open up the grid under layout, you'll see one column. Well, this is of 3 columns, right? So this is the first column, the second column, and the third column. And we know how to create columns with 960 grid. I'm not going to go into how to create these. Once again, check out the other video later, and you'll build their reference site and beyond, actually. You could see the different type of grid options that they have to set that up. Now, what you won't see with this is the horizontal nature. So the horizontal, once you're seeing the horizontal, you won't see the vertical. You're seeing the horizontal nature of this, but you won't see the vertical nature of it, right? The vertical is just going to be as, if I put in a really big picture, that picture is going to show up and it's going to push down that container as far as that picture goes, right? Unless I change the proportions of that container in CSS. CSS Grid came along and they said, okay, now you can create your container as a horizontal container, but you could also create it as a vertical container. So you can actually make those settings and start to create some really cool different layout designs that you would have had to kind of figure out how it worked. Like to do something like this with Bootstrap doesn't come naturally, actually. So that's what's cool, is you could create like a really cool aside area where your menu bar is that goes all the way down, maybe something like this, right? A really long aside area. And then the other area, you could have other type of content areas in there, right? Do you have any thoughts on that, Liliana?
Yeah, definitely. And well, designing with Bootstrap is well, actually the web is very different than doing with paper. Many of us probably came from paper and being everything perfect and aligned, and Bootstrap is going to help you a lot. And I remember in the first experience that I have when I did the first designs that were responsive, a client that was very fixated that it need to be perfect, that it was so hard with all the sizes of screens to meet the requirement.
Yes.
So all that now is different, and I think right now everybody starts seeing it that way. They need the more flexible, the better. You have more better results.
Yeah, 100%. Like Bootstrap changed the game with responsive design. You used to have to make media queries and set up media queries for all the different devices you were using. And then when the mobile phone boom happened, now you had devices that were Android, a little bit different size, and then the iPhone was a different size, and there was a big iPhone, and it would just explode your brain, right? And now Bootstrap just, it's like small, medium, large. Oh, perfect. You know, it makes it so much easier to do responsive design for sure. That's
And
it's
now we even have like giant TVs to access the internet. Consider
and then
that.
small Apple Watches. I haven't tried doing anything for an Apple Watch yet, but yeah, it's all over the place. So that's what's really cool about Bootstrap. For media queries, it solves all of those problems for you. So you could just prototype really fast again, literally copying and pasting the framework that they already have. And then you could just put in and build out the content that you need to do. And that's going to save you weeks, save you tons and tons of time. So it's really powerful. Somebody asked in the chat, what are your thoughts about Squarespace, Wix, and WordPress? So that's actually a whole nother lecture, but I guess we can go into it. Why don't we'll go into it on a brevity scale, right? So WordPress uses Bootstrap. That's probably one of the reasons why Bootstrap is still the #1 framework on the web, is WordPress uses Bootstrap. And I don't know what Wix or Weebly or Squarespace or Webflow. I've never even heard of Webflow. I've kind of heard of it, but I don't know what it is. So those are platforms that are, and we'll do another lecture on this, probably in the intro to web design, but we'll give this to everybody else, where we'll go into more detail on those platforms. But the thing about those are more user friendly. So those are platforms that are for somebody that doesn't know how to code, or somebody that just wants to build something fast, quote unquote, build something fast, actually, I would say. So WordPress is great. We've used WordPress a lot. We used to teach people how to modify WordPress themes and stuff like that years ago, but we don't do that anymore. And the reason why is WordPress has kind of become its own thing. All of those are commercial entities, really. WordPress is technically an org. You can download your own WordPress, or you can use WordPress.com and build it on WordPress.com. So there's two different ways to use WordPress. The first way is good because you own your own content, at least in my view. You own your own content, but you have to house it on your own server. So it actually might be more expensive for a monthly basis to do your own server of WordPress. And then there's a lot more sovereignty that you have over it. And sovereignty, your own ownership of something, is a good and bad thing. You're managing your own server, or you're using like Bluehost or HostGator or one of these hosting providers to put your site up onto. So you do have a server company that's got your back. If anything goes down, they're really great at managing servers. That's what they do. So that's not likely to happen, but you will have to deal with that server company, right? The WordPress.com is kind of like a, what do they say? No fuss something type thing with the server. They'll manage all of that. They'll manage all updates, security, all that kind of stuff. But then you don't really have access to your code. So the stuff that we're showing you to modify, all they're going to give you is a little box, a little CSS box, if you want to code different CSS onto it. And then the other issue is, if you build a really great site there. By the way, they could be a great place to start. I mean, honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with starting there. But if you build a really great site and then you say, hey, Wix, I want to take my site somewhere else because it's getting too expensive for me to manage the site that's getting 10,000 hits a day, they're going to say, I'm sorry, that's our proprietary platform. You're going to have to build your own site now. And that's what happens with that, right? And so that's a disadvantage there. Now, I will say, working with people building sites, their dreams are often a lot larger than what's actually going to happen, right? I would say the percentage of sites that go from 0 to 10,000 users is fractional, right? So I would say maybe 5%, something like that. A lot of people have a great idea and a great dream, but for that dream to come reality, you're going to have to do some churning. You're going to have to do some pivoting. It's going to take you some time to do it. You can do it, but it's going to take you time. By the time you get to the 10,000 users, you might be ready to build your own site anyways. So it might not be a disadvantage to start there just to get started. Do you have any thoughts on these other platforms?
No, I also start with WordPress, and then I develop more. I learn other things. But now, like, it has become complicated for me. Like, once you start learning more how to do your own things, then you will start getting frustrated that you have to work in this box and not having enough freedom to do how you wanted to do it. So so that's something the Bootstrap is going to offer you. And I also work, when I was working in an app, we use also in React, and that was also compatible with Bootstrap. So, but it was really nice because I didn't have to learn this from scratch. I just like look into the documentation, how to use Bootstrap and React, and all of things were there. Right now, like, it's the version 5, and I just noticed a little thing. That button that we created is to call it with JavaScript, but so actually more below in the documentation, you will see one that is created with that has the regular HTML. So if you're in the tutorial or doing the documentation and something doesn't look familiar, or you feel the code is missing there, just Google and 3W schools, or look more down. You're probably going to find something that has like the area to put the link. I actually fixed it, and I can share that when at the end of this lecture to show you guys really quick how to look the syntax for that. And yeah, so I don't know, like, maybe I went to out of the topic, out of the question.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and share that. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Awesome. We'll go back to the discussion of the other ones, or I can.
Yeah, just very brief. So yeah, so I was looking into it. So the first button, there is a way to call the button with JavaScript. So you would call the element. But our syntax that we know from intro to web is this one, where we have a link, and then there we're going to insert the class, and then we have the button, and it will show exactly like the other one. So I'm having here with the name of link. And the bottom one is the regular links that we learn in the intro to web. So that's how you insert that thing. So I just want to point that out, because if you copy and paste this button, it will require a different way to call this button, this JavaScript, and that's not in this class. So go find the syntax that is familiar, and that's the one that I advise you should use, and it will look like this. And here you can add the link to any page you want right here. So in the issue reference. And yeah, so just a little thing that I didn't want to forget to share. Yeah,
and to follow up on, thanks, that was awesome. And so that shows people kind of how that works and things like that. To follow up on that, what I found is once you know how to do Bootstrap, which you will after like this week or next week, what I have found is I honestly like Bootstrap or WordPress used to be a crutch for me. Like if I had to do a project really fast, the cool thing about WordPress, it's got all these widgets and plugins that you can use that can do all this cool stuff, right? Um, but you don't use many of them. Usually at the end of the day, they're not totally integral to what you're doing. And then also there's often other ways to get that code. Like if I want a Twitter feed, I can just go embed the code directly from Twitter on my Bootstrap page, right? I don't have to use the widget that's built into WordPress or Wix or something like that. If I want a shopping cart, that's a little different story, actually. I guess we can hold that aside, but you could use some external services that'll give you a shopping cart, and then you can embed the code from that shopping cart in there, or you could create like a PayPal button or something like that. But I guess a store is a little bit different story for that, because it's a little more complicated to build a shopping cart and do that kind of stuff. So I guess that's conversation number 2. But if I'm just building a website, a portfolio site, or an aesthetic site without a shopping cart or something along those lines, you know, let's say somebody would come and you wanted to just help them out and build a website for them really fast. I used to just go and do it with WordPress. I would clone another WordPress site I had before that I already knew how to manage, and I would just update it, and I'd be done in like 6 hours. About a year and a half ago, I tried to do that, and WordPress has changed to be a lot more like Squarespace and Wix and Weebly and things like that. And what they have are these editors, these general user interfaces built into them. And you have to learn the general user interface. By the time you learn that general user interface, you could have built it with Bootstrap. That's what I found. And so I just stopped doing it, and I just started building them with Bootstrap instead, because it was, and I wasn't even getting the results I wanted. Like it wasn't pixel perfect. I had to like move stuff over a little bit, and I'd be futzing with like really small stuff that, as we saw with the grid thing, you could just plop it right into the grid. So long term, if you're doing a lot of web building, Bootstrap is definitely the way to go. Short term, if you don't know how to code and coding is just something you don't want to deal with, you're going to spend more time with an interface that feels more comfortable to you instead of looking at code. If you're going to do like a Wix or Weebly or something like that, but you don't have sovereignty over what you did. They own it, and you have to pay every month to keep it up. If you stop paying, it might change. By the way, you might also sign, I'm pretty sure that their contract is similar to Vimeo, where in their contract it says we can change the contract anytime we want. And so in 2 years, they might tell you, oh, that free plan that you had no longer exists. If you want to keep it, you have to pay us this. And that actually happened on Vimeo to us. It used to be a free service to host up to a certain amount. And then one day they just decided it's no longer free, and we're going to delete your content on there if you don't pay. And I wasn't paying attention to it, and they deleted stuff from my site. And I don't feel bad saying that on YouTube.
Okay.
Do you have any other things to add?
No, I haven't used WordPress in a while, so.
Yeah, well, yeah. I guess the last thing is, if you want to work in industry, learn Bootstrap, learn these frameworks, because that's what companies use. Because of course, companies need sovereignty over their own stuff, right? So they build it from scratch with Bootstrap, or they create their own framework and things like that. So they have sovereignty over their own stuff. So as far as career path goes, definitely Bootstrap, 100%. That would be my suggestion. Okay, do we have any other questions? I think we're almost done for today. Any other questions in the chat?
Let's see. No, I don't see anyone.
Okay, cool. So we hope you guys enjoyed the first live stream of our class, and we're looking forward to it. I kind of had fun. Did you have fun with this?
Yeah.
I always have fun with this, so it doesn't matter if it's streaming or not. Okay, guys, see you guys later. Have a great week, and we'll post the stuff down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Bye. Oh, I do have one more.
Oh, we have one more question at the last second here.
Yes.
Does the mobile web development program at BCC teach JavaScript? We absolutely do. MMR 168. Yeah, we do. It's taught by Hamil Patel, and he's a genius with React and development, and we absolutely do. You can contact me at jhoffmanbcc@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to answer any of those questions. Okay, guys.